All right, everyone, welcome to week number 5, the last week of the group stages for the ULL Campus Series. My name is Joshua Fekes Quest, and tonight we are running a game between Duke and Vanderbilt for the second place in their division, which means also rapid a place into the playoff spots. Of course, University of Texas Dallas already secured the top spot, but the second place finisher in here can still get to the playoffs. So this is a big game right now.
This is a very big game, Fekes, and I'm glad that you set things up that way because we're coming into a team that we've already gotten a chance to see already on streams, so you guys are about as informed as we are. Duke University, a team and players that have been around in CSL for basically as long as I have. Been really cool to see these guys grow and develop, and here they are fighting for a chance to advance into the playoffs. So let's go ahead and jump into picks and bans and talk a little bit about what we can expect to see. Now, you should actually recognize most of these bans with two notable exceptions, and that's the Darius and Swain. Some things to think about, at least for this current patch, are that most recently lethality has received a little bit of a buff, so you generally want to run as many champions as you can while maintaining your team composition and ensuring that you can fit as many lethality champions as possible. Darius is a big one because he's a big tank in the top lane. He gets free lethality from his apprehend, and you can also build things like Black Cleaver, really potent. Kha'Zix as well. So you don't want to be giving these champions up. Kha'Zix especially a big pickup there for Duke.
Yeah, and of course Camille's one of those too. And even Darius, he received a nerf, but with the buff to lethality, yeah, he's still ban-worthy. And of course we do see Swain, that is a counter, not a counter ban, a targeted ban towards zero eternal, I should say. So not going to be able to see the Swain this game. It is a best of 3, so maybe we'll see it sometime. But for now, we do have the Maokai hovered for zero eternal. And pretty traditional tanky top laner, not really a top lane champion, not really anything too out of the ordinary. We do see a lot of these niche picks in collegiate play, obviously Swain, one of them being banned, but this time, with it being so much on the riding on the line going into the playoffs, they may just want to stay pretty meta right now.
That is very true. Now, we might have some placeholders as we get through here. So if you see something like a Heimerdinger or an Aatrox, it's not real. They're just picking out of order for players that don't own certain champions. So just a heads up there. If you get distracted by things easily, well, that's not what's going on. So Lee Sin, the pick here, kind of interesting because it's always a champion that has a very high potential, but it's definitely a skill-based one. So you do have to be very good at that. Kha'Zix right now, it is a very strong champion, so maybe not quite the same level of skill to achieve the same results, but of course results may vary. That's why we encourage you guys to definitely try this at home. Just don't, make those salty tweets about failing your, Lee Sin mechanics or something like that.
Oh yeah, Lee Sin is always. I think he's always going to be in the meta unless they just completely change him. His kit is just too.
Like none of his abilities deal damage anymore. I mean, people might still play him.
Yeah, he's so mobile. He can take objectives. I mean, it's so easy. He can displace people, slow people. You can't reveal stealth anymore, but he can still slow people and still be a giant terror. He's always going to be in the meta, I feel like. And if someone's good on him, they're going to pick him. But on the other side, Shen being locked in, giving Duke some global presence on the map, that's going to come in handy going into this mid game, especially if they want to get a split push and still have their 5th player there. And Ashe also locked in. Pretty standard bot lane right now. We have been seeing a lot of Varus, but Varus is banned this time around. Ashe kind of fills that same role just a little bit, especially with a long range initiation, crystalline arrow, and of course on the other side we do have Jhin, which again similar, both of them very immobile but very safe in the back lines, and we do have a Malzahar locked in too, so that's going to be fun.
Whoa! All right, so this is really interesting. I was always kind of keeping an eye on things, and while this isn't a definitive illustration, the meta does change little bit by little bit as patches do come out, and Malzahar is actually one of the champions most recently changed. So basically what happens is the Voidling takes a little bit of a delay there's a little bit of a cast time, and there's also a cooldown between the different casts of the Voidling spawning of 1 second. So basically, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to pick up all those kills with the free damage from Voidlings. So basically what you have to do is kind of pre-spawn the Voidling, and even then the damage is just not going to be what you expected. So still very effective as a lockdown tool, but not quite the same free damage you expect from a lot of mage supports out there, but still popular enough to be picked. And speaking of picks, we're seeing the last two come in from Duke, getting their support and their mid lane locked in.
Ooh, you're talking about lethality, and that is a champion that uses it to a T. Zed being locked in for the mid lane at the last second. I'm excited to see that one from Duke.
Oh my God. So the big thing for me that I'm going to be watching out for, initially the player was going to be Omega GJ, who's going to get one of his stronger champions in the Shen up in the top lane. However, the big thing for me now is switched over to Zed, and I'm just like, okay, well, look at the targets that you have for this. You got Jhin, who's just going to be giving you all kinds of AD. You got Lee Sin, AD jungler, and I was expecting to see something AD out of the mid lane as well. Looks like they might be going with that Aatrox placeholder just in case. Because still looking for a mid lane pick. That could be a mid lane Malzahar, which would fare fairly well into Zed, because all you do is just lock him down for 2.5 seconds, and he generally has a pretty bad time. But going with Corki instead, opting for damage versus damage, is a dangerous game to play against Zed.
Yeah, Corki's been coming up in the mid lane quite a bit lately, and yeah, there's a huge burst champion. Not really much has changed with Corki. He still does mixed damage though, so he's not going to be building straight out AD. He does eventually, but he's still. I mean, he has the spills of Sorcerer's Boots to get the more damage out of his magic kit, and he does build the Trinity Force. Once he hits that Trinity Force, he is possibly, arguably, one of the strongest mid-game champions once he hits that item spike. So we're going to see how he does against Zed. Now, one thing that he is taking right now, and that may change within 20 seconds, is the Exhaust, which is an Achilles heel for any assassin, especially in a Zed or any assassin that dives into the mid lane. Once he gets the death mark onto Corki, Exhaust is going to mitigate a lot of his damage. So we're going to see how that one goes. Now in the bot lane, I did want to talk about this one. You're talking about Malzahar. Surprised we see a Nami here too, because Nami doesn't really, as far as I know, doesn't really do too much against the Malzahar. There's a lot of damage on the bot lane of Vanderbilt, so it's going to be up to GOP to keep Yoki alive as much as possible and just keep him safe, because there's not too much engage coming out unless you hit a nice enchanted crystalline arrow. But Malzahar has a spell shield, as a passive. If they mistime that, that's going to actually be disastrous for Duke on the bot lane.
That is true. One of the reasons Nami is here, there's a little interaction if Nami is the target of that Nether Grasp, where you can kind of buffer your bubble, and if Malzahar does not have his anti-CC shield, you can actually throw out the bubble right as you get locked down if you're fast enough at it, and cancel the ult if you're good at aiming that. So, I mean, that's one way to do it. Both have ways of interrupting this, lockdown from Malzahar, and they can both stand decently far back, aside from getting flash ulted. They're going to be okay in lane, at least for the time being. However, I mean, the Zed Kha'Zix combo, if Duke gets behind, they're just not going to do anything. Zed won't be able to kill anyone. Kha'Zix can't either, and you're just not going to see a whole lot of what is a very aggressive draft from Duke. However, on the other side, we've seen a little bit more standard play. Maokai, Lee Sin, you're going to see lots of those. Corki, very high damage from the mid lane now. Jhin, play into that lethality strength. Of course, Malzahar strong pretty much always in the recent patches. So it's going to be a lot of aggression versus a little bit more of a standard team composition that we do have coming out of Vanderbilt. But regardless, do want to say thank you all for tuning in. We're going to head out to a quick commercial break. But before we do, I want to throw things over to a short shout out to our sponsors.
And of course, we're going to shout out to Band Gaming. It is a social app and the primary social app for the CSL, with features such as calendar functions, polls, chat, and now even call functionality. It's the best social app out there. It's premier social app for us, and we hope that it's a social app for you too. Join the CSL community at band.us/@CStarLeague. And of course, I have to give a shout out to Twitch. You're watching the ULL Campus series on Twitch. You have been all season. They've been with us from the very beginning, and we really appreciate Twitch being with the CSL. Thank you very much. And of course, the last one being Azus. They are back with us for the 2016 and 2017 season. Don't enter your next battle unless you're equipped with Azus laptops, monitors, routers, graphics cards, motherboards, and more. Get equipped and check it out. Azus is amazing. Thank you for joining us. My name is Joshua Fekes Quest, and I am here with Reed Rapid Melton. We're going to be on the Rift in about 40 seconds or so. Stick around. Don't move. Be right back.
only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Alright everyone, we are back on the Rift. My name is Joshua Fekes Quest. I am here with Reed, Rapid, Melton, and we are getting underway quickly now. Ping's already coming out. What's going to happen, Reed?
Well, first of all, we get to appreciate a little bit of fall coloration out on the Rift.
I love it.
It's a sign of the times. We are moving through the season, at least the CSL season, all the way through the group stages here, and coming into playoffs, we'll see which team makes it out.
Ooh.
And that's going to be a Flash taking out a Maokai to start things off.
Yeah, that's real pivotal for a top laner. And there's usually the lane that's ganked first, and you don't have a Flash, you don't have an escape. Maokai doesn't have a traditional escape either, unless Twisted Advance to a minion, but those typically are not behind you in the safety zone, so that might be crucial in that top lane for Omega GJ, and when Sunny Onage goes up there to gank.
Yeah, if you have minions behind you as Maokai with no flash, you're
Yeah.
asking for trouble. Now, I thought for a moment that Sunny Onage was going to be trying to get a cheeky steal on the red buff, but it's way too easy to check that with Maokai saplings, so probably just want to avoid that, and just going to be throwing those over the wall, see what's up, and no cheeky steals just yet. So here are some things to watch for if you're new to watching CSL, if you don't know what collegiate esports is, if you're wondering who these people are and why should I watch them. Well, they're probably college students either just like you or at one point in time, maybe you were here in their shoes. Instead of playing more traditional sports, they're playing esports, and it's really cool to get a chance to watch some of the best collegiate players face off against each other here in the ULOL campus series. Now, what it means for these players is not just about this game, but of course about the rest of their games this season. For one team, that journey is going to end. For the other, they are going to advance. So let's talk about how they might do that. Bottom lane here, we're going to see level 2s hit very, very closely. A lot of aggressive trading already, just trying to prepare for that next power spike.
Yeah, and this is a powerful level 1 coming out from Vanderbilt. Like I said, they do have two powerful champions in the face of the Jin and the Malzahar. A lot more powerful than a level 1 with a Nami on your side. Of course, Nami can keep you safe, but we saw that she took the bubble first, so not really doing too much to keep Yuki safe right now and the health bar up. So they have to be careful. But as I say that, there's actually a biscuit being popped by Pure and Fresh, so damage actually being dealt onto Vanderbilt, but the opportunity is there, and he's trying to silence. And Malzahar, one of the few champions that still has a silence left, by the way.
Yeah, that is true. It's a little bit hard to land, but Pure and Fresh can definitely do that. Pure and Fresh reminds me of that, what is it, Kingdom Hearts song, Simple and Clean, but maybe that's his Smurf account, I don't know. Pure and Fresh actually keeping it pretty solid in the bottom lane, allowing Vandy Landy to keep things farming out. Is missing a little bit of CS, but that's definitely on him, not the support. I always hate it when I'm the support player underneath the turret and I'm trying to help my AD carry last hit and he's just like hitting the wrong minions. He's like, well, clearly it's just my fault somehow, right? Well, no, you're definitely in charge of it, getting those last hits, and might need to step that up just a teeny tiny bit. But there's more action than just in the bottom half of the map, and we'll probably talk about how this early game is going to go. Still flashless Maokai, so maybe a lane you want to target, but got to keep an eye down here on the bottom half of the map. Already lots of aggressive trading going on.
Yeah, they're trying to do as much damage to Gop as possible, but is he the only one up in the face? Yuki is staying very safe. Very nice play by Yuki, Vandy, and Pure and Fresh have actually missed some CS because of how aggressive they're trying to be, and that's allowing Yuki to just kind of sit back and farm. But they have a little bit of aggression here. Aqua Prism does land on Vandy, but nothing really to come of it, although Ominous Mirror is in the bot lane here. Gop, he's in trouble. Are they going to get the first blood out of this when there's 2 flashes being popped along with the heal from Duke in the bot lane? Ominous Mirror, now he might be in trouble as Sunny Ono's there. He jumps in, he gets the damage. Is it going to be enough? It is. The first blood going over to Yuki, the Ashe player, picking that one up, and now a flash being forced out of Pure and Fresh. Very nice pickup by Duke.
Yeah, Sunny Onage even doing the utmost there at the end. Maybe a little too aggressive for kill pressure, but he did force a flash for flash exchange. Really, really great turnaround there, and Duke come out on top. I actually thought Ominous Mirror was just in such a good spot. There was no way he wasn't getting out of there without a kill. But double flashes early and then an overcommittal. Great turnaround there by Duke.
Yeah, and look at the items that actually started out with. So Yuki has been playing safe, but you would think Vandy should play safe too. They don't have a Doran's Blade. They don't have any sustain besides their two health pots. Both of them still have to be used on both ADCs, but typically you go with that Doran's Blade in the beginning to keep a little bit of sustain and get an extra bit of health as well. But neither champion doing that one. So Vandy, for all of his aggression, kind of came out weak on that one because he didn't have the health to really back up his Ominous Mirror jungler in the bot lane. And like I said, Yuki, he's just been staying back, farming, playing it safe, and it paid off for him. Now he's got first blood under his belt. He's going to go back. He actually has 1,600 in his pocket right now, so he's going to come back extremely strong.
That's very true. Very different styles of AD carries. You have sort of like, old and busted Ashe versus the new hotness Jhin that's down there in the bottom lane, picking up the lethality early, coming back to lane. But I mean, a BF sword is a BF sword. Like you don't really need to explain a whole lot about what that's about to accomplish. So a big buy there, just making use of that first blood gold, which is really going to set Duke ahead. Also, I want to point out, because it was a kill on the jungler, Ashe will have red buff as well, which is just basically means you cannot trade against her in lane.
Yeah, that's going to be harsh, and that's one of the unfortunate things too. Whenever your jungler dies, that means just frees up so much pressure across the map, and we see that not so much in the top lane yet, which I'm surprised. The CS is actually even. Omega did go back. He's actually going to hold on to his teleport. As that is one thing about a Shin versus a Maokai. There's really not much kill pressure unless you have a jungler up there to help you. So even without the jungler's pressure on the map, I mean, you're still relatively going to be safe. The only thing I did was let Omega know that he's not going to get ganked. That's essentially it. But that was brief. Ominous Mirror is back, of course. The blue buff is up on his side. Let's see if he decides to go grab that one. Looks like he's not yet. And let's also point out the Drake. The Drake is really important too for anyone who's new to the League of Legends scene. Drake's extremely important. This one being the Infernal Drake, which does increase damage. And once it gets to a late game, that can actually equate to a whole item's worth of damage with a percent health or a percent ability power and attack damage increase. So very important dragon to get. I would assume there'd be a lot of attention on this bot lane to control that dragon, especially, like I said, being the first one, being the Inferno.
That is very true. Might see some more attention down there, but right now it's not even just about the dragon. There's already a lot of attention down there by both teams, focusing on that dual lane. One AD carry ahead of the other, and it's still very early, Fekez, but with damage being done like in the mid lane, immediate exhaust, waiting it out there, having to get out a little bit ahead of time, and he gets the shuriken.
That was a nicely timed dodge of the exhaust by Jeffacake. He actually had the exhaust thrown down on him. He waited about maybe 1 or 2 seconds to go in onto G-Wool. And that way, his death mark would have actually did the entirety of that damage. Very nicely played by Jeffacake.
Yeah, there was this moment where Jiwoo was just sitting there and he knew he had exhausted too early, and you just know, like, that's that moment. It was like, oh, well, I just shouldn't have done that. And unfortunately, he didn't have the reflexes to flash away immediately. He got followed on. Jaffa Cake hitting that last shuriken, blowing it up, and not only taking away the rest of his life points, but taking away a little bit of bonus attack damage along with it.
Yeah, Duke starting out very well here, getting a kill in the mid lane and the bot lane so far, along with 2 assists, 1 in the jungle. Top lane has still been pretty silent. Stand United is up for a Mega GJ. He's not using that yet, hasn't had to use that yet, but when he does, it is going to definitely turn a fight here as he can get down into wherever he needs to, give a big shield to whoever he needs to as well, and then teleport back to the top lane and maybe even have an advantage over Zero Eternal once he is able to accomplish all of that. We'll see what happens whenever it actually comes time. But so far, it's actually been relatively tame. Almost 10 minutes in, only 2 kills, but so far it's all Duke.
It is all Duke. Now, it's only about a 1,000 gold advantage. There you can see Malzar's passive blocking the CC from the bubble coming in. Very, very useful in that regard. But I don't think this is going to be won based on 2v2s, because now it's going to be a 3v3 possible assistance from Corki. Jiwoo looking to make his way down to the bottom lane to set up for a big arrow onto Vanderbilt.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow landed in the back lines, but Pure and Fresh, he dives in without the help from Vanderbilt due to that stun, so he's going to go down, and now Ominous Mirror, the wrong place at the wrong time. Jiwoo, he is going to find himself again in the wrong place at the wrong time. Deathmark going onto him. Jaffa Cake picks up his 2nd kill, and that is going to be the Dragon going over to Duke.
Wow, the strong get stronger, Fekez, and with a win there in the bottom lane, which is where both of these teams have been focusing their efforts. They're not just going to pick up kills, but they're going to do something with it, and that is taking that first and very important Infernal Drake off the map. Now, that's important for a couple of reasons. Not only is it just a big objective that's going to help them do more damage, but damage is the most valuable commodity almost that you could get here for Duke, because they have such a commitment to succeeding aggressively. They've got that Zed, they've got a Kha'Zix, and both are doing very, very well. One of the more meta champions in the bottom lane, lethality AD carries like Varus that was banned, and in this case Jhin. Those are the champions that really should be succeeding the most here. Vanderbilt has just had so much pressure put on him that he has been unable to really give his team the performance that they need to keep themselves even. And as the game draws later and later, Fekez, this is just going to keep growing a bigger and bigger advantage here for Duke.
Yeah, and despite surviving both ganks in the bot lane, yeah, Vanderbilt, he's just hasn't been showing up thus far, and it's caused his teammates around him to die as he's been able to escape, which, I mean, whenever you're down, the object is not to die, but it also, you do, you know, like you said, Jhin, very powerful champion, you want to get some kills, and when it's not happening, that means you're losing, so, especially when your enemy is actually getting the kills. Yuki, 202 right now, 96 CS, already has an Essence Reaver in his arsenal, so on his way to a pretty solid build already going into this mid-game.
That is very right. This is a pretty solid build. Whoa, Jaffa Cake there. I don't think you want to bite off more than you can chew there.
Doesn't, but here comes Stand United, so he has a little bit of a safety net there, and actually gets a Deathmark kill onto Jiwoo. Very nicely played. There's the Stand United.
Cake.
Very nice.
That guy, I mean, you know, you don't have to be on a merry-go-round playing with your dreidel, whatever you want to do to turn things around that much. He got in, got that assistance, was calling for Omega GJ. Perfect reaction there from that top lane. Shen ult got there just in the nick of time, and that's going to be 2 more kills coming for Duke. I mean, if there's another 0 up there, then they'd be joining a club. But now it's just, got to keep an eye on the bottom lane there. Vanderbilt!
Yeah, Vanderbilt, he cannot withstand this onslaught. Pure and Fresh has to use his Nethergraph defensively, and it costs him his life. Curtain Call coming out in the bot lane, but it's not going to net a kill yet. And that's just the situation it's been time and time again in the bot lane. Vanderbilt, he gets chunked down or he gets disabled. Pure and Fresh has to make up for it, and then he dies for it. So a really sticky situation in the bot lane for Vanderbilt, and it's overall turning into Duke's just a complete domination. They were just 1k up, what is it, like 3 minutes ago you were talking about, you mentioned it. Now they're about 4k up actually, 4.2k up, so they are widening that gap rapidly.
They certainly are, Fekez. Great word choice, big fan.
I was wondering, yes.
It's been it feels like a longer game than it actually is. Only 13 minutes in, we've already had a big dragon taken, huge successes across the board, and really a lot of struggling here from guys like Ominous Mirror. Not only just against his jungle opponent, but just in as far as what he's supposed to be accomplishing for the team. Very mobile jungler. Kind of his job to keep Sunny Onage and Jeffacake from being able to succeed, either from counter ganking, just being able to be that mobile jungler and assist the lanes that need help, honestly, at this point. 8-0, and with the carries carrying for Duke, it certainly looks good for them coming into the second dragon timing.
I mean, we can't count Vanderbilt out yet. I mean, let's look at the top lane. Zero Eternal, he is still farming. He's still being that frontline tank, and he can reduce the damage and mitigate the damage that is dished out with his ultimate come team fight time. We'll see if it's going to be enough. But also, Vandy for all of his struggles in the bot lane, he is still farming. I mean, obviously, you want to get kills too, like Yuki is doing, while Yuki is also out farming Vandy, but given the situation, Vandy is doing what he can, not feeding, and also getting kills, getting the CS. So he has a Yuma's Ghostblade already. That's going to help him a little bit, but again, he has to be able to use that. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, I just saw Jiwoo's health bar just go straight down, so something happened there. It wasn't the death mark. Death mark's actually still up, so he just got chunked out of nowhere, and that might be the mid lane turret going down, as Sunny Onage is actually making his way there, and that will be the first turret gold going over to Duke, extending their lead just that much more. But Yuki getting a little bit of damage onto him. Pure and Fresh hesitant with that Nether Grasp.
Yep, and there it is, a rotation to the mid lane by the Duke jungler. It yields the first turret of the game. It's going to give that bonus gold for taking it down, and Duke just really cashing in on this early advantage. Now rotating down towards the bottom half of the map. Let's see what they can do. Most likely just looking for a turret kill, but might be able to find a little bit more.
Yeah, they're going to at least get this turret. Vandy, he has to back up completely, and that is one of the advantages of playing a Jhin. He has the curtain call pulled out. He's going to be able to pick up a kill here. Nether Grasp onto Gop, but he flashes out. There's not enough damage. Did force a flash. That is good, but... And I guess the turret is standing as well, so mission accomplished if you're Vandy. Wants to keep that turret up as much as possible right now, but looks like Duke, they're just going to turn back onto it, but they don't have a wave anymore. And that is one thing. Vandy and Pure and Fresh is Jhin and the Malzahar respectively. They do have quite a bit in their arsenal to clear waves. And here comes a teleport. It was actually canceled by Zero Eternal. That may have been a communication error, Rapid.
Well, yeah, it was also voluntary cancel. I was just like, okay, well, probably don't want to teleport down there because you're just going to die. I mean, this Maokai is not up to par with dealing with the amount of damage that's going to be coming his way. With that turret falling in the bottom lane and no threat of a teleport from the top half of the map, I mean, this is just setting up for another dragon coming to Duke.
Yeah, that's going to be the Cloud Drake. It's one of the least valuable Drakes. It does gain a lot of value whenever you're either A, split pushing, or B, have 3 of them, but you have to get 3 of them. That is one of 3 to make it the most valuable. I want to say the most valuable. That's a big stretch. A valuable asset to your team, but no matter what, a dragon is a dragon, and that helps if you go get the Elder Drake, but... Now Mega DJ is taking on 2v1 in the top lane, and while we were talking about that fight in the bot lane, Vanderbilt actually did pick up a mid lane turret, so they did open up the map a little bit for themselves in the mid lane, but my god, Jiwoo stands no chance against this Zed, and now Stand United coming in, taunt onto Ominous Mirror, he's going to go down, double kill for Jeffacake. Huge Zed play right now, he is a monster.
Yeah, Jeffa at this point could really, maybe not 1v3, but with the extra defensive shield given there by Zed and the ability to just use his utility to help Jeffacake be even more effective, this is just going to be a little bit too much to deal with. And I mean, at this point, you have to wonder if Duke are just going to be able to run away with the rest of this game, Vickers.
It looks like they are, man. They have everything in the arsenal to do so right now. They definitely have the game in their pocket. They just need to start running. They're at a slight jog, actually. So we'll see if they can pick up the pace and just close this one out. It's pretty soon. It's 17.5 minutes in right now. The Mountain Drake is up next, and that's going to be a huge factor for them. Hold on 1 second. Jiwoo trying to pick up the first kill for Vanderbilt. Not going to be able to get it. Gop still still pretty healthy. Of course, can heal himself with the ebb and flow, and you see that right there. So gonna stay safe, and once again, Vanderbilt, they're on the defensive.
You know, I'm always really interested, Fekez, when it comes to naming decisions, and I look at a guy like Gop, and I'm just like, well,
I don't know.
either he's very politically affiliated, or he just really liked those Willy Wonka candy.
I'm trying not to make it appealing. I want to say GOP, but I'm not. I'm really trying to keep that out of this broadcast.
Well, to be fair, it is lowercase, so he's definitely going for the. I mean, he hasn't died, so he is in fact an everlasting gobstopper.
Nice.
Whenever he does impede people from killing his AD carry. Kimura Yuki, I'm just going to let that name speak for itself as far as, logic behind the name. Big fan there. And, of course, always kind of interesting to go through these collegiate games. I don't know if you there's a Key and Peele skit that has to deal with collegiate players and their somewhat unique names. So it's not even just about League of Legends. Lots of love to the collegiate community for coming up with some pretty interesting names.
Yeah, when poke fun at it as we do. Top lane, Zero Eternal. Is it going to be able to pick up kill? The answer's no. Yuki going up there, going on a rampage. 4-0-2, mid lane, Jeffacake, 6-0-1, as he's just pressuring the bot lane. Omega, he's not going to die from anything pure and fresh, and Jay-Woo have to throw out. Even though Jay-Woo does have a Triforce now, it's just not enough at this point in the game with how far behind Vanderbilt is.
All right, well, here we go. We got a little bit longer before we can really see game-winning moves be made. It's one thing to put yourself in a strong position. It's another thing to use that position that you're in to win the game. So we've got a nice split push going in here from Jeffacake, really playing to their strengths. Duke pushing down not one, but 3 lanes simultaneously. See if they can catch out Ominous Mirror in his jungle, but here comes the big package down to the bottom half of the map, mostly just used to clear out the minion wave.
Yeah, everything Vanderbilt's doing right now is purely defensive. Teleports are defensive. I feel like I was thinking back on that teleport that Zero Eternal used on the bot lane. That may have just been to scare away Duke, to make them back up. It didn't really work, and he canceled it himself. I can't think of another reason why they would use that, unless, again, communication errors, but it seems like everything Vanderbilt is doing right now is just purely defensive. They have nothing in their arsenal to really mount an offense right now, and they are trying to defend this top lane turret, but every wave pokes it down just a little bit more. Yuki on Ashe, and Ashe in general, can poke down a turret extremely fast using that Q and the auto attack. Oh, hold on, speaking of auto attack here, Jay-Woo, he's gonna throw down a nice exhaust, but is it going to be enough? It is not. Pop goes the weasel. Jay-Woo, he goes down. Jeffacake, I think anywhere he goes, he's gonna make anyone defecate themselves. Did a rhyme there. And Jay-Woo, he's 0-5-0 right now. He's not in a good position in this world.
Yeah, I don't even know if you'd want to call this a Trinity Force power spike for Jay-Woo, because he's just kind of feeding that power directly to Jeffacake in the means of gold experience, and of course passive to Deathmark, giving you bonus attack damage based on who you kill. So I mean, at this point, it's going to be the Jeffacake show, kind of, especially if he does continue to split push, which is kind of like it's his job right now, and certainly is. Now, one thing that's really interesting about this is, if you remember back towards the draft, we were talking about champions that you can run into a Zed. Malzahar is definitely one of them to some extent, just because you can limit his extreme mobility and set up ganks to shut him down early. But when you try to run a damage-dealing AD carry against him, it's a really fine line that you're treading, because if you get the least little bit behind, he's just going to get out of control.
Yeah, that's one thing to think about, too. Corki is a traditional AD carry. And one of the AD carry's biggest weaknesses, biggest Achilles heel, is a Zed or any assassin in the first place. But you don't want to put him against, put an AD carry against a Zed. You're just asking for an opportunity for him to jump in and kill people with his full combo. I think Malzahar in the mid lane would have been a little bit better. Is a little unorthodox in the meta right now. He is traditionally in the bot lane, but yeah, putting an AD carry against a Zed who he thrives on is a risky decision, and we're seeing that turn out as a risky, a very risky decision coming from the pick and ban phase. But as I talk about that, the dragon is up. It is the Mountain Drake. So one of every Drake that is possible. There can be three types of Drakes per game. We have an Infernal, a Cloud, and now a Drake, but a huge engage coming out from Duke. They're going to win this more than likely, As hold on, Sunny Onich, he is locked down with the Nethergrass. That is going to be the first kill going over to Vanderbilt. Will it be enough to turn the tide here? Looks like Yuki, he may go down too. Space Aids is on him, and he goes down. Double kill for Vandylandy. That's a triple kill for Vandylandy. So all that time staying alive in lane, it's paid off, Rapid. Is he going to be able to pick up the quadra kill onto Omega? He does get it. It's an unofficial quadra kill, but a quadra kill nonetheless. And Jeffacake, he's in the mid lane. He was not in that fight.
Man, Fekkas, you pick one fight to call the outcome of, and it goes like that.
Yeah, right.
All I'm trying to say is, yeah, Dragon secured 3 Drakes over there to Duke, but, I mean, not looking good for our heroes, and now, Ominous Mirror, he's on the run.
Okay, yeah, so he's not going to win this fight. I do know that for sure. In fact, here it goes. He's going to try to get away, but Jeffcake, he's going to go Legendary with that Death Mark. I don't know how many times he's killed strictly with the Death Mark, but it is extremely fun to watch someone get popped.
Wow. Yeah, this is actually just starting to be a little bit insane, the things that Jeffa can do. But we should actually really talk at this point what Vanderbilt can do. They came in to that Dragon fight down but not out. And they really showed what it is possible to do when the opposing team are just out of position, unprepared for the engagements that they had. And even though Ominous Mirror did wind up dying there in the end, he and Pure and Fresh really just set Vandylandy up to get in there, get that unofficial quadra kill, and just really crush that team fight for Vanderbilt. Is it enough to get them back in the game? I'm not going to go quite that far, but if they can do it once, we'll see if they can do it again to put themselves in a better position.
And of course, this is a best of 3, and yeah, we just proven that Vanderbilt, they have what it takes to win a team fight. So possibly in game number 2, if game number 1 doesn't turn around for them, which again, yeah, more likely isn't going to. They have a game number 2 to rethink their pick and ban situation and get a little bit better picks here. Possibly one in the mid lane that won't feed Jeffa Cake so much. 8-0-1, 0-5-0 on the Corky right now.
Whew. All right, well, I mean, Corky is still going to eventually get insanely high damage. Trinity Force is a good place to be, but he's going to need a little bit more to put him on par with Jeffa Cake, who is currently marauding everywhere. Every time you see, team comps, and this is maybe just, something for the next solo queue game, anytime you see something like a Kha'Zix who already needs isolation damage, or a Zed, just like put your champion with another champion, and that's already kind of a recipe for more success, because it's going to take a lot for them to get into a big team fight, whereas if you're caught out like this,
oh my god,
it's all too easy.
Yeah, that was an extremely fast burst. Ominous Mirror, the only one that can really steal away the Baron. I mean, obviously Lee Sin is one of the best objective stealers in the game. And that's taken off the map. Curtain Call is going to come up, but the smite is up for Sunny Onich. He is going to pick up that Baron, no problem, no contest. Vanderbilt want nothing to do with him right now.
I mean, it was kind of contested. Vandylandy, I mean, if there's an ability that can steal Baron that's capable of dealing maybe more damage than Smite, it's going to be that last Curtain Call shot. That was a little too close to comfort there for Duke, but they do secure that Baron. We'll be pushing up this mid lane 5-on-4.
Yeah, empowered minions here. Vanderbilt, they just need to, they're don't need to, they're going to back up, just give up that inner mid lane turret. And we'll see what Duke decides to do with it next. They have a wave midway in the bot lane. They could rotate there, shove up into the inner bot lane turret. There's not really much Vanderbilt can do about it right now, but it looks like they are just going to back up and recuperate right now. Let Vanderbilt get some breathing room, and possibly catch them off guard here. As Jeffa Cake, you have to just be so careful with that Living Shadow. Anytime you see that, you have to wonder, is he going in? Let's just back up just in case.
Yeah, I think just in case is probably a great sentence to say multiple times. Maybe you just want to keep saying that to your team. And okay, don't do that. That's kind of annoying. But it's great motivation, and they're going to need it. Bottom lane, here's Omega GJ getting locked down.
Yeah, but they use a flash in the Nethergrass. Nethergrass not such a big deal. Flash, though, for Omega GJ. If they don't get that kill, it's completely not worth it. Omega GJ, okay, finally goes down underneath the turret. But Jwoo and Pure and Fresh both used their flash. I don't know if that was worth.
I mean, how do you kill that which does not die? Because Omega GJ took everything but the kitchen sink to take him out there, and now, Jeffa Cake, he's gonna go for it.
Yeah, they do have 2 exhausts on their side, so he is not going to stand a chance. But that leaves Yuki in the mid lane to push as much as possible, and it gave him enough time to take that mid lane inhibitor turret. And Zero Eternal, he canceled his... Hold on, Sunny Onage in the bot lane. He's leaping in. He gets the kill. And now the mid lane inhibitor is down because Zero Eternal was not able to teleport into the mid lane. Now it looks like they're going to try to take out some of the Nexus turrets. Rapid? What the hell? They won't let him back.
Yeah, well, just too much dedication to the bottom lane. It was a good place to put your attention, but you're going to lose a lot off of it. And here comes Duke with the Shen assistance coming back from base. Omega GJ there to help out the rest of his team, just going for the win.
Yeah, they do have to back up now. The Nexus turrets are down, and the players on Vanderbilt are up. Hold on, Twisted Advance going in deep. Sunny Onage launches himself into the back lines, but gets exhausted. And now Zero Eternal being the biggest front line you could possibly ask for. Yuki, he finally goes down. Nethergrass locking him down. GOP, I should say, is not going to last through this one. And that's a double kill going over to Zero Eternal. Vanderbilt, they're trying their best to stay in this game, and they survive just a little bit longer.
All right, well, the game does continue, Fekez, but maybe let's take a little bit of a stock of things here. Where Duke are strong is when they play together, when they don't treat their opponents as being ahead or behind them. But it feels like lately, in the last few minutes, we've gone from no deaths to 8, and that is a big increase lately. And I mean, if there's one time in the game where death means the most, it's going to be in the late game, and that's where we're going. So got to keep an eye on things here. It is definitely not over. I mean, it's easy to look at it and be like, oh, I can read big numbers on the screen. I would like to use that to analytically decide whether or not this game is close or not.
I do.
Like, well, there's a little bit more to that. That is why Fekez is not solo casting tonight.
Thank
also,
God.
so that my voice would not explode after minutes. So, thankfully,
well,
no, Jeff. Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, didn't even need to use the death mark on that. My God.
Okay, that's a
Jesus.
perfect word choice there, Fekez. That is. That's what happens when you overfill your gas tank. Do not get those few extra pumps of gasoline in there. It's not worth it, Corky. Just trying to get greedy. And walking into an unwarded jungle, a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and you were talking about, Jwoo dying there kind of defeats the purpose. You were talking about late game deaths. They do mean more. Yeah, that's where throws happen, is in the late game. But, yeah, you just have to win a team fight. Jwoo, he's not here to win that team fight right now. God rest his soul. Vandy Landy, he still is very powerful. I mean, him and Zero Eternal are their shimmering hope on their team. And I say that Pure and Fresh has actually been doing pretty well going into this mid-game to late game. His Nethergrass are making all the world of difference when catching somebody out. As you can see, they have to back up. Duke cannot contest this with Pure and Fresh alive and well with a Nethergrass. You lock somebody down, they're more than likely going to die, especially if he ends up flashing onto Yuki. That is the big damage from Vanderbilt right now. Whenever they split pushing, obviously whenever Jeffacakes is around, he's the big damage. But they do have an exhaust for Jeffacakes and for Sunny Onage. They don't have one for Yuki because they can't reach Yuki. The main way to do that is to launch in and Nethergrass. What?
I was just going to say there's 2 exhausts, so
Yeah,
that's actually a really great decision-making by Vanderbilt, saying, hey, if they're going to run double Assassins, we're just going to run double Exhaust. Really, really strong summoner spell at dealing with that. And I mean, like we said, oh, here we go, a Curtain Call coming out.
Curtain Call coming out. If it doesn't hit anybody, though, Yuki actually gets out. He is going to be stand united upon. Vandy Lady does pick up Sunny Onage in the back line, so Yuki now in trouble. Omega GJ is there as well, but cannot protect Yuki long enough. And again, this is where throws happen. These death timers are starting to get pretty long at 45 seconds. Now Omega GJ, he is going to be in trouble, but GOP is there. Actually keeps him alive long enough to get the shutdown onto Vandy Landy. Pure and Fresh going down as well. That's enough to force the forfeit out of Vanderbilt.
Well, it's actually, Jeffacake just auto-attacking the Nexus to death. That's, one way to do it.
Oh, he backdoored? I didn't even see that.
Well, I mean, he could have probably just walked in there, at any moment. Not a whole lot standing in his way. He was able to get in there and successfully lead his team to victory, finishing the game with a 10-1 score, and of course his team with a 22-10 victory for Duke over Vanderbilt.
Yeah, very exciting matchup, but it is a best of 3. And again, want to reiterate, this is for second place. This is to go to the playoffs. Duke playing like they won at Vanderbilt. We're going to see what they do in game number 2. But before we do, we have to get the lobby set up. My name is Joshua Fekes Quest. I am here with Reed, Raph, and Melton. We're going to throw it over to a quick commercial break, then some music while we get the lobby set up. Don't stick around. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.